Imagine a creature so imposing that its presence echoes not only in the depths of the seas, but also in the minds and hearts of people throughout the centuries. An entity that transcends myths and stands as a symbol of unparalleled power and unpredictable chaos. This is the essence of Leviathan, a figure that permeates various cultures and religions, challenging our understanding and evoking both fear and admiration. In this text, we will explore the rich symbolism of Leviathan, investigating its biblical roots and its cultural influence throughout history. Our goal is to uncover how this legendary creature became an emblem of natural and spiritual forces, reflecting the complexities of creation and divine power. Understanding the meaning of Leviathan is more than a journey through ancient texts. It is an opportunity to reflect on the forces that shape our world and the way we perceive the unknown. In a time when chaos often seems to dominate, the figure of Leviathan invites us to ponder divine order and our own position before the greater forces that surround us. Leviathan in the Book of Job. Imagine yourself in the midst of a vast tapestry of biblical literature, where each thread represents a story, a lesson, or a profound metaphor. Among these threads stands out the enigmatic figure of Leviathan, particularly in the Book of Job. It is here that Leviathan gains one of its most detailed and impressive descriptions, revealing layers of meaning that go beyond the mere representation of a sea monster. In chapter 40 of the Book of Job, Leviathan is presented in a way that defies imagination. Job 40 begins with God challenging Job to understand the true nature of Leviathan. The description is meticulous and majestic. Can you pull in Leviathan with a fishhook or tie down its tongue with a rope? Job chapter 40 verse From the outset, it is clear that Leviathan is not an ordinary creature. It is not a fish or a large shark, but a being of extraordinary size and strength, beyond human comprehension. Its physical characteristics are described in detail that inspires both admiration and fear. I will not admit you can catch Leviathan in the net. If you try, you will shimmer like a fish. Job chapter 40 verses This description not only highlights Leviathan's physical invincibility, but also creates an image of a creature that defies any human attempt at domination or control. Its scales so firmly joined that even air cannot penetrate symbolize an insurmountable barrier, suggesting that there are aspects of the world and creation that are beyond our ability to comprehend or influence. God's challenges to Job. The challenges posed by God to Job are not merely tests of faith, but convocations for a deeper understanding of divine creation. By asking if Job can capture Leviathan with a fishhook or tie down its tongue with a rope, God is highlighting the vastness and power of the creation He Himself orchestrated. These rhetorical questions serve to remind Job and us of our limitations in the face of the universe's magnitude and divine sovereignty. These challenges not only illustrate Leviathan's physical strength, but also symbolize the natural and spiritual forces that operate beyond our control. It is a way for God to show Job that there is a greater order and purpose at play, something that goes far beyond our personal circumstances and the difficulties we face. Symbolism of power and indomitability. Leviathan, as described in the Book of Job, is not only a creature of immeasurable power, but also a symbol of the chaotic and indomitable forces of nature. Its description evokes a sense of awe at the complexity and grandeur of divine creation. Leviathan represents the primordial chaos that, despite its apparent disorder, is under God's absolute control. This symbolism leads us to reflect on our own position in the world. At a time when we often feel powerless against natural forces like storms, earthquakes, or even social and personal crises, the figure of Leviathan reminds us that there is a greater balance and order governing everything around us. It is a call to recognize our smallness before the vast and mysterious universe and to trust in the Creator's wisdom and power. Additionally, Leviathan symbolizes the limits of our understanding. Just as Job was challenged to contemplate Leviathan's true essence, we are invited to accept that there are aspects of existence beyond our capacity to fully comprehend. This acceptance should not be seen as a weakness, but as wisdom that allows us to live with humility and reverence before the unknown. Symbolism of power and chaos. The figure of Leviathan transcends the mere representation of a powerful maritime creature. It encapsulates profound concepts of power and chaos that have resonated through the ages and cultures. Let us explore how Leviathan symbolizes these fundamental forces and how this symbolism manifests in different contexts. Leviathan as a representation of primordial chaos. Returning to the ancient Near Eastern traditions, we find numerous stories and myths that portray creatures similar to Leviathan as personifications of primordial chaos. Before the ordered creation of the world, these beings represented disorder and raw matter that the gods had to subdue to establish harmony and structure in the universe. These narratives reflect a worldview where divine order emerges from the confrontation and domination over chaotic forces. Within this context, Leviathan is not just a monster to be feared, but also a symbol of the cosmic battles necessary to bring balance and stability to the cosmos. The presence of Leviathan in these myths underscores the importance of overcoming chaos to achieve order and civilization. Subjugation by the divine. Despite its representation as a chaotic and indomitable force, Leviathan is always under the absolute control of the divine. In biblical texts, especially in the book of Job, we see that although Leviathan possesses immense power, it is not beyond God's reach or authority. This duality between chaos and divine control is crucial to understanding Leviathan's true symbolism. The subjugation of Leviathan by the divine not only establishes God's supremacy over all things, but also reinforces the idea that even in situations that seem chaotic and uncontrollable, there is a greater order at play. This vision provides comfort and purpose, suggesting that chaos is not an end, but a means through which divine order manifests and is maintained. Furthermore, the subjugation of Leviathan serves as a powerful metaphor for the constant struggle between good and evil, order and chaos, within the human experience and the universe. It reminds us that despite the adversities and destructive forces we may face, there is a higher power working to maintain harmony and justice. Traditional and rabbinic interpretations. As we explore the depths of Leviathan's symbolism, it is essential to delve into the traditional and rabbinic interpretations that have enriched the understanding of this figure over the centuries. These interpretations not only expand the complexity of Leviathan, but also reveal its deep integration into Jewish theology and culture. Rabbinic perspectives. In rabbinic traditions, Leviathan is not merely a creature of destruction and chaos, it also possesses surprisingly positive and symbolic aspects. According to rabbinic literature, Leviathan was created by God on the fifth day of creation, along with Behemoth, another powerful creature. This duality between Leviathan and Behemoth symbolizes the totality of divine creation, where powerful forces coexist in harmony under God's sovereignty. One of the most fascinating stories found in rabbinic literature is the prophecy of the celestial banquet in which the King of the universe will serve Leviathan's flesh to the righteous at the end of times. This banquet is not only a symbol of reward, but also represents the complete transformation and redemption of forces previously perceived as chaotic and destructive. Therefore, Leviathan transitions from a symbol of chaos to an emblem of divine celebration and communion. These rabbinic interpretations highlight the flexibility and depth of Leviathan's symbolism. Instead of viewing it solely as a negative force, these traditions propose a balanced view where Leviathan is an integral part of God's creation, destined to fulfill a positive purpose within the divine plan. Dual symbolism. The duality of Leviathan clearly emerges through these traditional interpretations. On one hand, Leviathan represents primordial chaos and the uncontrollable forces of nature that God must dominate to establish order. On the other hand, it symbolizes the fullness and ultimate realization of divine creation, where even the most fearsome forces are transformed and integrated into a greater plan of redemption and harmony. This duality reflects the complexity of the Jewish view on creation and redemption. Leviathan, while a symbol of power and destruction, is also seen as a fundamental piece in the grand mosaic of creation. It exemplifies how seemingly opposing elements can coexist and complement each other within divine order. Moreover, this dualistic view of Leviathan encourages deeper reflection on the nature of the forces that surround us. Instead of categorizing the world in binary terms of good and evil, chaos and order, these interpretations invite us to recognize the complexity and interdependence of all things. Leviathan, therefore, becomes a mirror for our own journey of understanding, challenging us to see beyond superficial appearances and embrace the depth and ambiguity of existence. This symbolic approach also reinforces the idea that true understanding comes from humility and acceptance of our limitations. In contemplating Leviathan, we are reminded that there are dimensions of divine creation beyond our comprehension, and that our relationship with the divine involves both reverence and trust in the superior wisdom that governs all things. The journey through the symbolism of Leviathan is not limited to sacred texts and religious traditions. This powerful and enigmatic figure has also left an indelible mark on culture and art throughout the centuries. From political philosophy to contemporary literature, Leviathan continues to inspire and reflect on themes of power, chaos, and the relationship between humanity and nature. Influence in political philosophy. One of the most notable manifestations of Leviathan's influence in Western culture is found in political philosophy, especially in the work of Thomas Hobbes. In the 17th century, Hobbes wrote the famous book Leviathan, published in 1651, where he uses the figure of Leviathan as a central metaphor for the sovereign state. Hobbes describes Leviathan as a powerful and fearsome entity necessary to maintain order and prevent chaos in society. This representation reflects Hobbesian views that without a strong central power, society would succumb to disorder, and the war of all against all. Hobbes's Leviathan is not just a mythological creature, but a personification of the absolute government that, despite its daunting strength, is essential for social stability and security. This Hobbesian conception of Leviathan profoundly influenced subsequent political thought, establishing a paradigm where the state is seen as an indispensable authority for maintaining peace and order. The metaphor of Leviathan, therefore, transcends its biblical and mythological origins, becoming a lasting symbol in discussions about power, governance, and the nature of political authority. Presence in literature and fiction. Leviathan has also found its way into the pages of literature, taking on various forms and meanings depending on the context and the author's intent. In romantic literature, for example, writers like William Blake illustrated Leviathan in their interpretations of the Book of Job, highlighting the majesty and mystery of this emblematic creature. Moreover, the figure of Leviathan has been adopted by authors of science fiction and fantasy who frequently incorporate Leviathan-like creatures into their imaginative works. These writers use Leviathan-like beings to explore profound themes, such as unchecked power, the struggle between order and chaos, and the intrinsic relationship between humanity and natural or supernatural forces. In works like Herman Melville's Moby Dick, although the only whale mentioned is Moby Dick, the depiction of a gigantic and uncontrollable creature evokes the spirit of Leviathan, symbolizing human obsession and the inability to fully dominate nature. Similarly, in fantasy series like George R.R. Martin's Game of Thrones, dragons and other mythical creatures reflect the ongoing influence of Leviathan as a symbol of destructive power and incomparable majesty. These literary representations not only keep Leviathan's image alive, but also expand its symbolism, allowing it to adapt to new narratives and cultural contexts. In this way, Leviathan continues to be a rich source of inspiration for writers seeking to explore the complexities of power, ambition, and the human relationship with the unknown. Representations in media and popular culture. Leviathan's influence is not limited to literature and philosophy. Popular culture, especially through cinema, video games, and comics, has also adopted and adapted the figure of Leviathan, giving it new dimensions and contemporary relevance. In cinema, Leviathan-inspired creatures appear in monster and epic fantasy films. For example, in movies like Pacific Rim, where giant monsters emerge from the ocean depths to fight against human-controlled robots, we can see echoes of Leviathan's representation as a powerful and destructive force. These monsters are not just antagonists, but also symbols of internal battles and challenges faced by humanity. In video games, Leviathan-like creatures are often presented as boss levels or final enemies, representing immense challenges that players must overcome. Games like Assassin's Creed, Final Fantasy, and The Elder Scrolls utilize these mythical beings to enrich their imaginative worlds, providing gameplay experiences that combine action, strategy, and the exploration of deep themes like power and destruction. In comics, especially in superhero universes like Marvel and DC, Leviathan is represented by powerful characters who often battle heroes in conflicts that symbolize the struggle between good and evil, order and chaos. These representations continue to reinforce Leviathan's image as an iconic creature that encapsulates powerful and indomitable forces. Leviathan's continued presence in media and popular culture not only keeps its image alive, but also reinvents it, ensuring that this mythological figure remains relevant and resonant with modern audiences. Each new representation of Leviathan contributes to the richness and diversity of its symbolism, reflecting the concerns and aspirations of each era. Leviathan in science and modern life. As we explore Leviathan's multifaceted symbolism, we reach a fascinating intersection between mythology, theology, and modern science. As a creature that transcends time and cultures, Leviathan continues to inspire discussions and theories in various fields of knowledge. In this section, we will analyze different scientific perspectives on the possible real basis of Leviathan, as well as reflect on its relevance in contemporary life. Theories about Leviathan's real basis. Since the dawn of humanity, Leviathan has been a subject of speculation and debate. Many scholars propose that the biblical description of Leviathan might have been inspired by observations of real animals that profoundly impacted ancient people. Two of the leading theories suggest that Leviathan could refer to crocodiles or plesiosaurs, extinct marine reptiles that inhabited the seas millions of years ago. The biblical description of Leviathan, with its impenetrable scales and immense strength, aligns well with the appearance of the Nile crocodiles, known for their tough scales and powerful jaws. Additionally, the reference to scales so firmly joined that even air cannot pass, Job 40 desise, may allude to these reptiles' natural armor, making them virtually impervious. On the other hand, plesiosaurs, with their long necks and large sizes, are also considered possible inspirations for Leviathan's description. These prehistoric marine reptiles possessed impressive adaptations for aquatic life, which could have sufficiently amazed ancient observers to inspire stories of powerful and mysterious creatures. Theological versus zoological interpretation. While it is intriguing to consider the possibility of Leviathan having a real basis, it is crucial to balance these interpretations with an understanding of the theological nature of the creature. In the Bible, Leviathan is not merely a large animal, but a theological symbol representing divine power and the uncontrollable forces of nature. Therefore, even if there are parallels with real animals, Leviathan transcends these correspondences to become a rich and multifaceted metaphor. The theological interpretation of Leviathan emphasizes the limitation of human understanding in the face of the grandeur of divine creation. While zoology seeks to identify physical and biological correspondences, theology uses Leviathan to explore questions of power, order, and humanity's role in the universe. Thus, Leviathan serves both as a subject of scientific study and as a spiritual symbol, demonstrating how different disciplines can interact to enrich our understanding of ancient myths and symbols. Contemporary relevance. In a world where science and technology are rapidly advancing, the figure of Leviathan continues to resonate and remain relevant. Discussions about the limits of human knowledge and the complexity of natural forces echo reflections on Leviathan. The creature symbolizes the challenges we face in trying to understand and control natural phenomena, from natural disasters to ocean and space exploration. Furthermore, Leviathan invites us to reflect on our relationship with the environment and the species that inhabit our planet. In an era marked by climate crises and biodiversity loss, Leviathan's symbolism can serve as a reminder of our responsibility to respect and preserve nature. Leviathan's overwhelming strength symbolizes both the beauty and the threat of nature, encouraging a stance of reverence and care instead of domination and exploitation. Leviathan's contemporary relevance also extends to ethical and philosophical questions about power and authority. Just as Leviathan symbolizes a powerful force that must be respected and understood, our modern societies face complex decisions on how to manage natural resources, promote sustainability, and balance development with conservation. In this context, Leviathan becomes a metaphor for the challenges of governing justly and effectively in an interconnected and constantly changing world. Leviathan in eco-theology and Christian environmental ethics. The figure of Leviathan, traditionally associated with concepts of power and state control as presented by Thomas Hobbes, takes on a new and profoundly relevant dimension in the context of eco-theology and Christian environmental ethics. In this section, we will explore more comprehensively how Leviathan can be reinterpreted as a powerful metaphor for the social and political structures that influence humanity's relationship with the environment. Additionally, we will analyze the impact of this reinterpretation on ethical practices within the Christian tradition, highlighting the importance of responsible and sustainable governance. Reinterpreting Leviathan from an environmental perspective. In Hobbesian thought, Leviathan represents the sovereign authority necessary to maintain social order and prevent the inherent chaos of human nature. Hobbes viewed Leviathan as a centralized entity that holds the monopoly on the legitimate use of force, crucial for preventing the state of war of everyone against everyone. However, in eco-theology, this figure assumes a different and expanded symbolism. Leviathan comes to represent not only central authority, but also the institutions and systems that regulate the use of natural resources and shape human interactions with the environment. In this new perspective, The eco-theological Leviathan is not just an agent of control, but also a facilitator of sustainable practices and environmental justice. It symbolizes the governance structures that implement conservation policies, promote sustainability, and ensure equity in the access and distribution of natural resources. By reinterpreting Leviathan in this way, there is recognition of the need for an authority that not only imposes rules, but also inspires and guides society towards a more harmonious and respectful relationship with creation. The role of Leviathan in Christian environmental governance. Christian environmental ethics emphasize humanity's responsibility as stewards of creation, following the biblical mandate to care for the earth. Genesis chapter 2, verse 15. In this context, Leviathan can represent the governance structures that implement and oversee environmental conservation policies, promote sustainable practices, and ensure equity in the access to natural resources. Leviathan's role is crucial in mediating conflicts of economic and environmental interests, ensuring that human actions align with principles of justice, responsibility, and care for creation. Furthermore, Leviathan in Christian environmental governance symbolizes the collaboration between different levels of authority, local, national, and global, to address contemporary environmental challenges such as climate change, ecosystem degradation, and biodiversity loss. This collaboration requires ethical and visionary leadership that can integrate spiritual and ecological values into public policies, promoting a holistic approach to sustainability and environmental protection. Ethical challenges and opportunities. Incorporating Leviathan into Christian environmental ethics brings to light a series of challenges and opportunities. Among the challenges is the need to balance institutional power with active community participation in environmental management. This involves promoting an inclusive and dialogical approach, where different voices and perspectives are heard and considered in decision-making processes. Additionally, there is the challenge of reconfiguring social and political practices in ways that reflect an ethics based on respect for life and the interdependence of all beings, overcoming individualistic and short-sighted interests in favor of a greater common good. On the other hand, Leviathan's presence in Christian environmental ethics opens significant opportunities for innovation and social transformation. It can inspire profound reflection on the relationship between authority and ecological responsibility, encouraging ethical leadership that directs collective efforts towards environmental protection. This leadership can foster a culture of sustainability that transcends geographical and cultural boundaries, promoting global solidarity in preserving creation. Moreover, the eco-theological Leviathan can serve as a catalyst for environmental education and awareness within Christian communities. By integrating biblical teachings with ecological principles, Leviathan can help shape a collective consciousness that values harmony with nature and recognizes the interdependence of all life forms. This awareness is crucial for mobilizing concrete actions aimed at conserving natural resources and promoting environmental justice. Integration of governance structures with Christian spirituality. Integrating the governance structures represented by Leviathan with Christian spirituality is essential for creating a cohesive and effective approach in environmental ethics. Christian spirituality, with its focus on love, compassion, and moral responsibility, can strengthen the legitimacy and effectiveness of environmental policies implemented by institutions. By aligning governmental actions with spiritual values, a solid foundation is created for environmental management that not only protects natural resources, but also promotes human well-being and the dignity of all creatures. This integration also involves recognizing the spiritual dimension of nature, where creation is seen as a manifestation of divine work. Therefore, environmental preservation is understood as an act of devotion and respect for the Creator. This perspective can inspire a deeper and sustained commitment to sustainability, encouraging practices that honor divine creation and promote harmonious coexistence between humanity and the environment. The reintegration of Leviathan into eco-theology and Christian environmental ethics offers a rich and multifaceted perspective for addressing contemporary ecological challenges. By reinterpreting this traditional figure as a symbol of environmental governance structures, there is room for profound reflection on how institutions can serve as catalysts for sustainable and just ethics. This approach not only reinforces the importance of ethical and responsible leadership, but also highlights the need for inclusive and dialogical collaboration among different social and political actors. In this way, the eco-theological Leviathan significantly contributes to building a harmonious coexistence between humanity and creation, aligning perfectly with Christian teachings of care, responsibility, and love for the earth. This reintegration is fundamental for promoting an ethical transformation that effectively responds to environmental challenges, ensuring a sustainable and equitable future for all generations. If this journey through Leviathan's symbolism and its relevance in eco-theology and Christian environmental ethics resonated with you, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated on all our upcoming analyses, reflections, and discussions on topics that bring together faith, environmental responsibility, and social transformation. Like, share, and activate notifications so you don't miss any updates. Your participation is essential for expanding this conversation and building a movement of care and respect for divine creation together. We immensely appreciate your attention and support. Every subscription, like, and comment motivates us to continue producing enriching and inspiring content. Together, we can make a difference and promote a more harmonious coexistence with the environment and all created beings. Thank you very much for being with us on this journey. Until next time,